For about 3 years, I was trying to become a high-value man. I had the checklist: build the income, build the body, build the status, become so obviously valuable that the right woman would choose you, respect you, never leave. I did the work. I hit some of the numbers, and I want to tell you what nobody selling that dream will. It's a trap. Not because the goals are bad. A strong body and a good income are fine things. It's a trap because of what the frame does to you. I spent 3 years optimizing the exact thing the research says made me lonelier and worse at love. Let me show you how the trap actually works. Let me tell you who I am so you know why I get to say this. I'm not a coach. I'm not selling you a program at the end of this. And that matters because almost everyone who talks about high value is. I'm just a guy who bought the whole idea, ran it for years, and watched it quietly cost me the thing it promised to get me. And before I go further, the man in this story is a composite. I changed the details. But every study, every number I'm about to give you is real. This isn't my opinion about masculinity. It's what the research says about what actually happens to men who build their life around status. Now, I want to be careful because this topic lives next to some ugly stuff online. I'm not going to tell you the problem is women or that some market is rigged against you. That's a different video made by people I want nothing to do with. The problem I'm describing isn't out there. It's in the frame itself. Here's the reframe it cost me years to earn. High value sounds like self-improvement, but it's built on a hidden idea that you are a score and your job is to raise the number. And the moment you accept that idea, you've already lost. Let me prove it. First, let's name the thing honestly, because the branding is clever. The high-value man idea comes out of a corner of the internet that treats dating like a marketplace. Every man in this view has a value, a score built from your income, your looks, your status, your dominance. And life is a competition to raise that score so you can trade it for the best possible partner. They even have a term for it that they say with a straight face: your sexual market value. Now, on the surface, this sounds motivating. Go to the gym, make money, improve yourself. Who could argue? And that's exactly why the trap works, because it hides a poison inside something that looks like medicine. Here's the poison. The whole frame tells you to organize your entire life around 3 things: money, image, and status. And it turns out psychologists have been studying people who do exactly that for decades. They call them extrinsic goals, and the findings are not subtle. A researcher named Tim Kasser spent a career on this, and across a mountain of studies, the pattern is consistent and brutal. The more a person centers their life on money, image, and status, the lower their well-being. Lower happiness, lower life satisfaction, more depression, more anxiety. And here's the one that should stop every high-value guy cold. They also have lower quality relationships. Read that again. The exact 3 things the high-value frame tells you to maximize, money, image, status, are the 3 things the research links to being more anxious, more depressed, and worse at the very relationships you're trying to win. It's not self-improvement. It's optimizing the wrong variable with a confidence that makes it feel like the right one. And the alternative isn't do nothing. Kasser's work points somewhere specific. The people who thrive organize around intrinsic goals instead: personal growth, close relationships, and a sense of contributing to something bigger than themselves. Same effort, same discipline, pointed at a target that actually pays out. So why does the wrong target feel so right? Because of who's holding the megaphone. Think about it for one honest second. Who taught you the phrase, high-value man? It wasn't your happily married grandfather. It was an industry. Coaches, course sellers, guys with a camera and a program to sell. And their business model has one requirement that they will never say out loud. You must never feel like you've arrived. Because the day you feel genuinely secure, the day you feel like enough, you stop buying. You cancel the subscription. You don't need the next tier, the next boot camp, the next supplement stack. So the entire machine is tuned to keep you feeling almost there, forever chasing a bar that moves the instant you reach it. You are not the winner in that economy. You are the customer. And a good customer is a permanently insecure one. I know this because I was the perfect customer. I hit an income goal I'd chased for 2 years, the one that was supposed to make me feel like a man. And I felt it for about a week. Then the number just became the new normal, and the target quietly moved to the next one up. I wasn't climbing a mountain. I was on a treadmill someone else had set the speed on, which is the second half of the trap. And it's the part that messes with your head the most. Here's what happens when you tie your worth to a score. There's a concept in psychology called contingencies of self-worth. It just means, what does your sense of being okay depend on? And the research, a lot of it from a psychologist named Jennifer Crocker, draws a hard line between two kinds. Internal contingencies. You feel worthy because of who you are, your character, your integrity, living by your own values. External contingencies. You feel worthy because of what you can show, your looks, your status, other people's approval. And here's the finding. People who hang their self-worth on external things live in a cage. Because external metrics require constant validation from outside, so your sense of being okay is never actually in your hands. Crocker's studies found that students who based their worth on external stuff had more problems, more anxiety, more unhealthy coping than those anchored in internal values. The high-value frame is externally contingent by design. Your worth is your score, so every fluctuation becomes a threat to your identity. A bad month at work isn't a bad month, it's evidence you're becoming less of a man. You put on 10 pounds and something in you panics because the number is yourself. And it doesn't even deliver the reward. Take the money piece. There's a famous finding, Kahneman and Killingsworth, 2023, that for people who are already unhappy, well-being from income basically plateaus around $100,000 a year. More money stops buying more peace. The engine you're redlining to feel like enough has a governor built into it. It literally cannot take you where you were promised. So you've got a worth that depends on numbers, numbers that never feel like enough, sold by people who need you to never feel like enough. That's not a path, it's a wheel. And I ran on it hard enough to hurt the one thing I actually cared about. Because here's where the trap stops being about you and starts costing you other people. When you accept that you are a value, a score, you don't just do it to yourself. You start doing it to everyone, especially the people you date. Think about what the frame actually trains. If you are a high-value man shopping for the best partner your score can afford, then she becomes a price, a tier, a thing you've earned or settled for. You start ranking people. You start keeping a ledger, what she brings, what you bring, whether the trade is fair. And you tell yourself, this is being smart, being strategic, not getting taken advantage of. But you cannot rank a person and love them at the same time. Those two things cannot happen in the same room. The moment someone becomes a number to you, real intimacy is off the table. Because intimacy requires you to see a person, and a scoreboard only lets you see a rank. And this is where the science gets almost cruel in how directly it contradicts the whole idea. There's no one on earth who has studied what actually keeps couples together more than John Gottman. Decades, thousands of couples in the lab. And he can predict, with up to 94% accuracy, whether a couple will still be together and happy years later. 94%. Now, here's the part the high-value crowd needs to hear. That prediction is independent of wealth and status. Rich or poor, high status or low, it doesn't move the needle. So what does? What actually predicts a marriage that lasts? It's almost embarrassingly unglamorous. It's kindness. It's generosity. It's whether you turn toward your partner when they reach for you, instead of turning away. It's whether you assume the best about them instead of the worst. And the single biggest predictor of divorce, the acid that kills love, is contempt. Looking down on the person you're supposed to be on a team with. Now hold those two things next to each other. The thing that keeps love alive, kindness, generosity, turning toward. The thing the high-value frame builds in you, ranking, scorekeeping, a quiet contempt for anyone below your value. The frame doesn't just fail to help your relationships. It manufactures the exact poison that ends them. That was me. I brought the scoreboard home. I'd be sitting across from a woman who actually cared about me, and some part of my brain was running the numbers. Is this the best I can do at my value? Instead of just being there with her. I thought I was protecting myself. I was strangling the thing I said I wanted with my own two hands, while congratulating myself for being disciplined about it. And I want to be fair here because this is where the internet gets loud and stupid. None of this is women's fault. Nobody did this to me. I did it to myself, with a frame I bought from strangers on the internet who profited from my insecurity. If there's a villain in this story, it isn't a gender. It's an idea. The idea that a human being, me or her, has a value you can put a number on. Because the truth underneath all of it is simple, and the high-value industry can never sell it to you. You are not a score. You never were, and neither is she. The entire game is played on a board that doesn't exist. The men I know who actually have what the high-value guys are chasing, the respect, the loyal partner, the calm in their own chest, did not get it by raising a number. They got it by becoming the kind of person who's genuinely good to be around, by being reliable, warm, present, by anchoring their worth in who they are instead of what they can display. And the wild part is that man does become attractive, deeply so, but only because he stopped performing value and started actually having it. The exit from the trap isn't a higher score. It's putting the scoreboard down. So let me tell you where the high-value life actually leads if you don't get off the wheel. Because I've seen the end of that road, and it's the whole reason this channel exists. Picture the man who did everything right by the frame. He built the income. He got the status. He married well by the scoreboard's math. And for a while it looks like the system worked. Then, years in, the marriage starts to die, quietly the way they do, because he was optimizing his value the whole time instead of turning toward the person beside him. And now watch what the trap does at the worst possible moment. Because his entire identity was built on the score, the income, the status, the high-value self-image. A divorce doesn't just cost him a marriage. It detonates the whole foundation. The settlement takes a piece of the number. The failure itself contradicts the story he told about being a high-value man. He's not just heartbroken, he's erased. Because he tied his whole self to metrics, and the metrics just moved against him. That's the cruelty of building yourself out of external things. They can be taken. A court can take them. A market can take them. Age takes them eventually from everyone. And the man who has nothing underneath the numbers is left standing in the rubble of a self that was never really his. And here's the quiet moment I want you to sit in. It's not the lawyer's office. It's later. It's the night he realizes that the woman didn't leave because his value dropped. She left because in 15 years of optimizing, he never once made her feel chosen for her. Because a man running a scoreboard can't. He gave her a high-value man. He never gave her himself. And it turns out that was the only thing she ever actually wanted. I want to say that as plainly as I can to the man who needs it. The score was never the thing. The whole time you're grinding to become enough to be loved, the people who actually love well are doing something completely different and quieter and free. They're just being kind, present, real. It doesn't trend. Nobody sells a course on it. And it's the only thing that has ever held two people together. The high-value man optimizes to be wanted and dies a little every time the numbers wobble. The man who's actually okay stopped auditioning and got the one thing the whole industry promised and could never deliver. So if you take nothing else from a stranger who wasted 3 years on this, take these 3 things. First, notice who's selling it. The next time someone tells you how to become high value, ask one question. What are they selling? And does it require you to feel not enough to keep buying? The answer will tell you everything. Real growth doesn't need you insecure. The industry does. Second, move your worth inside. This is the whole game. Build things, your body, your money, your skills, because you want them and they make your life better, not to raise a score for someone else to rate. Same gym, same work, completely different man doing it. One is free, the other is on a leash he's paying for. Third, and this is the one that protects everything, stop ranking people, starting with her. The next time you're with someone, kill the scoreboard in your head and just be there. Be kind. Turn toward her. Assume the best. That's not weakness, and it's not low value. It's the exact thing the research says actually holds love together. And it's the one thing the high-value frame will never let you do. You are not a score. You never were. And the day you really believe that is the day you stop being the perfect customer and start being an actual man. So let me ask you, where in your life are you grinding to feel enough for someone who is never keeping score in the first place? Be honest. Drop it below.